Plus. Time for that pep talk.
All right, and welcome back to the Be Positive Music Show right here on Holy Culture Radio. It's your host here, B Plus, and yes, we have reached the halfway point of today's show, so it's time for the pep talk. But before we get to the pep talk, really quickly, let's talk about the last set you just heard. Like I said, the first song was Give It Up by Stephen the Levite. The next song was by Shylin, a Christian hip-hop legend. The name of that song was Worship God. And then the third song you heard was I Love You, Jesus by a legend again, The Ambassador. Now, that album means a whole lot to me just because it just reminds me of those road trips that me and my father went on in the early 2000s back when he was taking me to all kinds of AAU basketball games in the state of Ohio. The name of that project was called Christology in Layman's Terms. Very special project to me. But enough of that, let's go ahead and get into today's pep talk. Like I said in the opening, I went to a Vineyard this week. And if you've been following the show for a little bit, you've heard me say that I work in a Christian environment. I work in the Bible translation world. And we have a lady by the name of Susie Lips who comes in and does a leadership program called Conversations in the Vineyard. And what she does is she just kind of zeroes in on the metaphor that Christ used in John chapter 15, where he's talking about how he is the true vine and the Father is the gardener. And what she does in this leadership talk is just really go through and really zero in on this whole metaphor and what it takes to just to run a vineyard. And we actually go out in the vineyard, you touch it, you can see the different bulbs, you can see just like how the cover crops work, you can see all these little small things about a vineyard that makes it work. Talks about the different seasons. There are actually 5 seasons if you count harvest. Talks about how there's all types of cutting that happens throughout the vineyard process, but not all of it is pruning. So all pruning isn't cutting and all cutting isn't pruning. It's just a whole lot of stuff that I could talk forever about that experience because I've gone through it a few times. But one thing that sticks out to me as I read through John chapter 15 is the number of times that the word abide in happens, or the words abide in happen, or just to remain in him, depending on which translation you're going to see abide if you're reading King James, but if New Living Translation you may see remain in. But it's mentioned 11 times, and it just talks about how you're not going to bear fruit if you're not remaining in. So I oftentimes when I'm reading something, I can see what I'm reading. It just kind of like little pictures in my head. It's probably the reason why I like hip hop so much, just because if you get a dope lyricist, you can really kind of see what they're saying, and if you get a really good storyteller, you can just kind of get taken on the journey. So as I was reading this, and I came to the part where it talked about how we're to remain in. And we have the option. We're not like a branch. A branch doesn't have the ability just to tear himself off the vine. And that's what I saw in my head. I saw a branch tear himself off a vine and walk away. Just walk right out the vineyard. And it was kind of hilarious. And it just kind of reminded me of just like how ridiculous we look when we try to step away. We're disconnecting ourselves from the vine, which goes along the trellis and then down into the ground through the root system, the water that's there, the sun that's coming through to the plants just to give it energy to grow. And when we are separating ourselves from God, like that's what we're doing. We're nothing like a branch, or we're something like a branch who just decouples himself from a vine and just walks out right out the vineyard. So I just want to remind us just to make sure that we're staying close to the cross. Make sure we're staying close and we're abiding in Christ, just because there's so many things that are coming up against us and that are keeping us from doing the main thing that God is asking us to do. And he says it twice in John chapter 15, in verse 12 and also 17, just talking about how our main goal, the main thing we're supposed to be looking to do is just to love. That's what God has called us to do. He's called us to love. So this is just a challenge for us to love better. And just if you get a chance, just go check it out. Go read John chapter 15, and I'm sure you will be blessed by it. So with that being said, like I said at the top of the hour, these next 3 songs are songs that all just came out within the last week or so. So I hope you guys enjoy these next songs. The first song I have up is called Deep In. It's by Mike Teasy and Bats. It is a fantastic song. Quickly, one of my favorite songs of the year. You guys check it out. This is the Be Positive Music Show right here, Holy Culture Radio. You guys keep it locked.
I just jumped in the deep end. In the deep end, just jumped in the deep end. Geronimo, I'm leaping.